This is Jeff O'Leary, the Village Guru Mississauga Real Estate Broker, and welcome to the November 2020 Real Estate Market Update for the Greater Toronto Area. You're not going to want to miss this video. Let's go! What a difference 6 months makes. 6 months ago, we were in the middle of the coronavirus pandemic. We were still locked down. People didn't know what was going on in the real estate market. Fortunately, I did a weekly update on what was going on, and we could show that while sales had dropped off the cliff, the amount of inventory also followed suit. And at the time, I was still predicting that with tight market conditions, we'd have a rebound. And that's exactly what we're seeing in the Greater Toronto Area. In fact, when we compare the month of October from this year to the same time last year, sales are up over 25% compared to the same time last year. Now, there's a couple of reasons I think that this is happening. Number one, obviously low interest rates. Number two, people are starting to feel more confident in the economy. And number three is the pent-up demand that was created. So don't discount the fact that when you shut down an economy for 3 months, that people still had to move, people still had to do things. It's just everything was delayed. And I think that's part of the reason why we're seeing such a bump in sales. Now, when it comes to average prices increased on average 13.7% for all home types in the Greater Toronto Area. Now, when we look at price increase, it's important to note that certain segments have been affected differently, and we're going to get to that later in the video. But one of the trends that I do see is areas in the outlying areas, so more sparsely populated, more suburban, have gone up in value more than the more densely populated areas closer to the city. And I think this might be reflected of the fact that coronavirus is still alive and well, and a lot of buyers are deciding to leave the city to get more space because they're working from home. However, we will get into that in a little more detail. All right, so now let's go over the big news stories of the past month. So number one are mortgage deferrals. Back when coronavirus started, the Bank of Canada worked with the major banks in order to offer deferrals for people who were out of work and had a hard time paying their mortgage. Now that program lasted for 6 months, and now we're seeing the end of the program. So a lot of speculation is going on as to whether that most of the people use that to pay down debt or just to help themselves during the slow time, or was it covering up more systematic problems and there could be a lot of power sale and foreclosure. Now, it is important to note that when you look at Canada as a whole, mortgage deferrals were much more popular in Western Canada, and I think that is reflective of their sluggish economy due to oil prices. Here in the GTA, I believe the number was around 13% took advantage of the mortgage deferral program. So it's wait to be see what exactly happens over the next 6 months. However, with the tightness of supply in the area as a whole, I think that it'll be able to absorb anybody who needs to sell. Therefore, I don't see it having a massive impact on the real estate market. But again, let's wait and see on that one. Now let's talk about mortgage rates, my favorite thing. I've been saying for the last 5 years they're not going up, and now we're in historically low mortgage rates. In fact, I don't know, 2 years ago we thought, how could they ever go lower? Well, they did. In fact, we're looking at mortgage rates for a 5-year fixed under 2%, which is unheard of. Anyway, news media has been reporting the Bank of Canada does not foresee a rate increase for the foreseeable future, probably at 1 to 2 years, as we slowly try and climb ourselves out of the recession caused by the coronavirus epidemic. So my prediction is you're not seeing interest rates go up. It's going to fuel buyers in order to make homes more affordable. Finally, let's talk about immigration levels in the future. As I predicted in my video in last July about why I'm still bullish on the Toronto real estate market, the government of Canada recently announced that they're going to go for record immigration numbers over the next 3 years. I found an article in the CBC that said the target is 1.3 million immigrants over the next 3 years. And of course, this was totally foreseeable and very logical. When you run an extreme amount of debt, the only way to balance that debt without going into austerity is to increase the population, so the share of debt per person is substantially lower. And I agree with this. But on the other hand, what this is going to mean for the Toronto real estate market is more people are going to move here, which is already going to put pressure on a limited supply. Now, good news for investors. A lot of people, we know that the rental market was hit pretty hard, especially in downtown Toronto. However, with a lot of more people moving into the area, because they do come to the GTA, you should see that shore up in the near future, which means that we'll be back to a market where we have low vacancy rates and things are more stable. All right, now I want to touch on the downtown Toronto condo market because unlike the rest of the real estate market in the GTA, we all know that with the amount of supply in the market due to investors trying to offload properties, vacancy rates skyrocketing, it's taken a bit of a beating. In fact, you can look at certain neighborhoods in Toronto where prices have actually gone down. In fact, when I compare Mississauga, where the average condo price has gone up 10% versus some neighborhoods in downtown Toronto where they've gone down 3%, and you can see that's a very big spread. Again, as immigration comes in, as the population continues to grow, and as coronavirus subsides, I do foresee a rebound in the downtown Toronto market because Toronto's an awesome city and it's not going anywhere. However, if you're someone who's thinking about moving in the near future, you have some tough decisions to make because you either wait it out for this market to rebound, and it could take a couple of years, or you bite the bullet because the home you want to buy in the suburbs or the property you want to buy is still going up in value. So again, you got to weigh the pros and cons and decide what's right for you. Well, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed my November 2020 real estate market update. The market is doing good. It is rebounding from coronavirus. What does the future hold? Nobody knows, but interest rates will remain low. And if our population continues to grow and our economy slowly recovers, I foresee us being stable. Well, if you have any questions about real estate, always feel free to call or email me. I'm Jeff Valeri, the Village Guru. Have yourself a great day.